It's only in that tradition anyhow, through the power of meditation, mantra, that we gain a connection in the spiritual world, which then allows this healing. No, I say this very often when I do a healing, I'm actually not the one doing it. No? I get help. No? But to get that help, that effort I have to make. And so to test me, just to give you an idea, the first time that I went there and wanted to become his student, he told me, okay, but I have to test you, I have to see if you are able, no? And so I had to do 24,000 Gayatri mantras in 10 days, which more or less comes down to 24 malas a day, which is a lot. And he also made it very clear that there was no way of fooling him. No? If my concentration would not be there, if I would be skipping mantras or malas, he would know. So, yes, often people ask me these days, oh, I also want to become a Tantric healer. And then I'm like, yeah, very nice, but there is something to learn first, maybe, no? And meditation definitely there is one of them. And you need to have a bit of a talent there also in terms of connection to the spiritual world, like Nadis, no? Energy channels which are there. They can also grow and be created in the process, but still, some talent has to be there. Empathy has to be there, absolutely, no? Without empathy, it cannot work. We have to use, first of all, the power of love. No? If that is not there, then the healing comes to a very different level, and especially when working with those, quite highly evolved spiritual beings that are the healing energies, if you are not there in your heart, no? It's not possible. No? So even, let's say, if the person that comes for healing is not the kind of person you easily like, let's say, that is sometimes, no, it's just not matching somehow. Still, you have to love them. No? Otherwise, it cannot work. I remember very well in the beginning, I think one of the first things he taught me was a story about that need for empathy, where, let's say, a teacher has a student in healing, and some healing has to happen in a village far away, so he sends the student and explains very clearly what kind of like medicinal food has to be prepared to help that patient. And so the student, he goes and every day he makes that food and gives it to this patient, but there is no improvement. So after some time, maybe 1 week, 10 days or something, he goes back to the teacher and say, your medicine is no good. No, it doesn't work. The guy is still the same, actually going worse. He said, well, now go back, teach the wife how to make this food, and she will give it. And then it worked, because it was done with love. So that is very important. This empathy must be there, and it cannot be for personal gain. Okay, you can make a living out of it, that is another thing, but that should not be the reason why you are doing it. You should be there to help, and then the power will be available. And it also does require a certain amount of emotional stability, because many of the problems you deal with in the patients, they have an emotional component, and the spiritual beings that are involved in this disease or mental state, they are having a rather unpleasant emotion. And so that power of love, first of all, is needed, because only that actually will allow you to bring that energy which is causing the problem to you. You have to be willing to do that. And then somehow you neutralize it in the best possible way, which means you actually also try to heal that energy, and if not possible, then you will put it somewhere where it can do no harm. But so some of that energy, some of that emotion will also affect you. So maybe in the next day, in the morning, you wake up and you feel a little grumpy, I don't know, or somewhat sad or depressed, because that energy is still somehow affecting you, no? Because in order to break the connection with the patient, you have to make a connection with yourself. And so you are somewhat influenced by that. It is very good practice, no? Because all the time, let's say, your karmic impressions, no? Your triggers, your own emotional issues are being tickled, no? And so then you have to be firm and able to not go into whatever comes, no? And use your mantra and use your power. And then, okay, it will go. No? If it sees that there is no response, it will go. No? But so, if every day you do a healing, then every day this is part of the game. No? So you have to be willing to do that. Now, once people start to understand what this actually means for your own life, yeah, it's not easy, but I see it as very good exercise. This way, whatever inside of me is still a little bit edgy, I can work with it. No? It is not lying dormant, me believing that I have nothing more to do with it. No? This can happen quite a lot. No? That some things are still there, but somehow they are not triggered, so we think we are free of it. Until then something happens that triggers it, and then we're like, wow, am I still there? So in that way it's like a cleaning. No? In that way it is very transforming, I feel. And I'm very lucky to be able to do that, and in that way do a kind of work which also brings, food on the table, which at the same time is promoting spiritual growth, and the letting go of many of these karmic impressions.